address myself to Admiral Murugesan. Sir, and this question is to Air Marshal Bhadauria and General Ravi Thodge also. Sir, again, when we know the costs of procurement are so high for indigenous companies because they are self-financed, mostly entrepreneurial. Is there any mechanism you can say, like we have a fast-track procedure for the things the country needs? But I think of equal, if not more importance, is the sustenance of companies that are doing R&D. Should they not be red-tagged and fast-tracked and said, but listen, the army, you have a product that the army or the navy or the air force have accepted. Now we will process it so fast. As long as you don't try to cheat us by quoting more than a foreign company, if you will benchmark it against foreign company, we have no problem if you charge as much as them, but not more than them. If this process, why is that not thinking not come yet, sir, or do you think there is a necessity to change the process, or can it be done? That's my question, sir. How do we really do this?
Definitely, we have the realization that procurements have to be done in time. Anything we don't procure in time, that means we are compromising on the combat capability, which we are very conscious of. If we need an item that is required for war fighting, if we don't get that, that means we are performing suboptimally, that we are fully aware. And there are certain financial approval capacities are given. Whatever delegated to the service headquarters, we make conscious effort that within our powers what is there, why we are not progressing it in a time-bound manner. As it has come out in the course of this conference, Navy has been supporting indigenization right through. For more than 50 years, we are totally walking along with the Indian industry. See, about 20 years ago or maybe 10 years ago also, the steel also was imported from abroad when we built the ships. Today, Navy fully supports indigenized steel. We don't import any steel even for the aircraft carriers and destroyers from abroad. So that effort of indigenization of steel has been done with the support of Indian Navy. Even if you are giving a contract for warship to a public sector shipyard, we have got a formula of certain amount of percentage has to be outsourced by the shipyard to Indian industry. There are percentages stipulated. To go to the 15 Bravo destroyers, the shipyard which has got the contract has to outsource at least 18% of the yard effort. Now we realize that is little. When we went for the next project 17 Alpha, the percentage of outsourcing, we ourselves, the MOD has fully supported us to 48%. 48% of the yard effort in 17 Alpha has to be outsourced. So that outsourcing is going to come to the Indian industry of various scales, large scale industry, medium scale industry and small scale industry. When we talk about this percentage is not small measure. The destroyers cost today 7 to 8,000 crores per piece. So out of that, the percentage which I mentioned is going to come to the indigenous industry. So there is a lot of opportunity for our Indian industry to continue to participate with Indian Navy. So some of the important systems are being done from the private industry. The brain of a weapon system or a fire control system is the combat management system, which also we have given to the private industry. The CMS for our new aircraft carrier is going to be done by Tatas. So we have no reservation that the Indian industry does not have the capability. Whoever has come forward, we have given them the opportunity, and we don't stand back and watch them develop. We thereafter make partnership with that kind of industry and institutions. We depute serving personnel also quite often. In the DRDO laboratories, more than 50 naval officers, serving naval officers are working today, working with them from the day the project starts till it fructifies. So he observes at every stage, and if anything is not moving as per the Navy's staff requirement, then and there correction is made, so that the product which comes out is a successful one at the end of the 4 years, 5 years. We don't realize after 5 years it is not meeting our requirement. So this is a constant hand holding is done by the Navy throughout the process of design, development and induction. So that has been our history, and it's always given the success to the industry as well as the Navy.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Sir, in the morning, sir, while you were not there, Gupta ji, one of the point that RM said was that they have recently signed an agreement with Wadhwani Institute, where the point is they want to get 200 to 300 startups to come into defense. Sir, again, I'm coming back to the same thing again, and DIIA has made a grand promise that by 2020, India will not only be self-sufficient, but it will go not only to 80% of the indigenous production, but we will go 70% export also. Now, for this ambitious thing to do, it's not the 24 companies that are here, which are hardcore R&D companies that are going to do. What we want is create an ecosystem where we are saying if a product is liked by the army, the process will take 3 months, 6 months. Now, we are trying to attract talent from where? We are trying to attract talent from a guy who is developing an app and putting on the thing and gets 1 million downloads. He wants to become a billionaire overnight. We cannot promise that. And even I think that world may come crashing pretty soon. But the thing is, we should be the most competitive industry. And unless we streamline this process of, again, my question is, if I developed a product, how are you going to ensure that my order comes in 6 months or 1 year or 2 years? How do we set a limit? Again, I'm saying, how do you red tag the file or fast track the file so that they look at us, they say, oh, okay, these people have made so much of success, then that drags more people in. But if I am failing, I am suffering, I am decaying and I am dying, nobody will come into this industry. So how do we exactly ensure that there are a lot of success stories to celebrate, to tell, and that other 200 or 300 startups come to this field? So that was my question to Air Marshal Bhadauria.
The issue of fast track and your concerns. Firstly, just a general comment. I think as far as the organization is concerned, what you formed, and the concept of tackling the R&D, I think you hit it right, because that is where the crux lies, and that's what we haven't done over the last few decades. On the issue of fast track, although your concerns are understood and clear, your concern is when you develop, it should be things should move fast, and there should be repeat orders. There should be long-term visibility. It is easier said than done. In our parlance, fast track is straight. In case of operational necessity, you fast track a procedure for procurement. Not from the point of view of industry is concerned. It's from point of view of services concerned. That's our fast track procedure. So, but what we need to do is that whenever small scale is involved or entrepreneurs are involved, that we need to move fast. Believe me, from our side, from services side, we are so far behind on each of our procurement that we make full effort to move as fast as possible. It is, you must understand the system that is in place in terms of procedures, in terms of whatever procurement process that needs to be followed, that there is a certain timeline which only keeps getting extended. So that is the ground reality. So this fast track is not going to happen overnight. Yes, it is an issue that we need to recognize, and we need to move things faster whenever such companies are involved. I have 2-3 comments quickly if I can make now, because I don't know whether I think you are all targeting just the new procedure, and you are all targeting the new products or the new orders that are going to be coming. I think as far as Air Force is concerned and the aviation industry is concerned, there is a lot that is already happening where there is a huge scope of involvement from all the companies that are part of this. Be it D&D, let's say the LCA program. I think LCA is the finest example wherein so many R&D, small companies, so much R&D effort went in. 100 plus companies had got involved. Similarly, AMCA is going to come up now. It's going to be launched very soon. The next stage is going to be, fast tracked. So there is huge scope in our own D&D element. It is in D&D in case of LCA, or it's in case of upgrades. There is a Mirage upgrade going on. There is a Jaguar upgrade going on. Hawk upgrade will come up in due course. Maybe Su-30 upgrade will come up. So there is a lot that can be done by the industry in that, in every small measure. The DPSU's HL in this case was, not comfortable with this idea of so much outsourcing. Lot has happened in the last 2 years, 3 years, and now there is no hesitation towards outsourcing. So I think you should target that. Next, I think there is a lot of effort on indigenization. While I am full praise for the Navy, and I think Navy model has worked very well, somehow Air Force hasn't publicized their effort towards their support for indigenization. Okay, but I must tell you all, the Air Force is not far behind, and I'm sure Army would have similar results. You know, the entire aviation industry over the last 50 years was supported by the Air Force, and it has come up. It is another matter that after Marut went out of service, that in R&D we slept. So this was our biggest mistake. We recognize it in the industry, we recognize it as a service, that this was the biggest mistake, that we allowed the gap to come in after Marut phased out, and the next step we took was after close to 3 decades when we started, when we launched LCA. And in terms of support for the LCA, Air Force is in full support. We had put a team there right from the beginning, and I don't think many of you know that the team was the core team which remained throughout. Of course, we have a little issue with rotation, but especially in test pilots, not so much in test engineers, and only in test pilots we rotated over 4 or 5 years, but there is a fair amount of continuity. So in terms of support for all aviation, projects that were taken up, Air Force is in full support. We as an industry made huge mistakes, okay, in this last, in the interim period. We should have never let that opportunity slip, and of course, when the LCA started, after the first flight, we should have put everything in one direction to ensure that it inducts fast, it productionizes fast. So these are issues that we had slipped after the Marut case, and a lot of lessons had to be relearned when we productionized LCA from there. So there is this drawback, but now we need to move from there. So there is on the production side, and then there is on the indigenization side. On the revenue channel, on all our spares, there is a huge effort we can indigenize. Import substitution. So there, I think 80% of your effort that you want to put in is existing today. Forget the new ones. Of course, you should target the new ones, but 80% workload is there where you can make a lot of effort.
Mr. Gupta also wanted to add something.
I'll just supplement what Air Marshal Bhadauria and Admiral Murugesan has just now intimated. In fact, in 15 Bravo, if you see, which you mentioned 18% outsourcing of yard efforts, we are taking it much further. It is now coming to almost 40%. I was checking up with the MDL. 10 out of 17 blocks they are outsourcing in yard efforts. So, and this will be much higher in the 17 Alpha as a follow-up shift. So, in the Navy, lot of work will be coming to the as MSMEs. That is one part. And as Air Marshal Bhadauria has indicated, here we are, I think, talking about the MSMEs, isn't it? I don't think we are talking about the big platforms.
No, MSMEs.
Correct. So, they will go at best up to tier 1 suppliers. Now, for becoming tier 1 suppliers or tier 2 suppliers and all, first of all, there is no requirement of licensing in most of the cases. 70% of the items have been delicensed, so manufacturing is not an issue. Orders only can be the issue. Here we are asking our DPSUs to become integrators. At present, the outsourcing is 30%. We are saying let us start doing outsourcing up to 60%. So this 30% extra will be offloaded to the MSMEs only, and it comes to almost 10,000 to 12,000 crores per annum. This is the amount of orders which will be coming. So nothing to do with the main procurement as such, which is taking place. In case we do start doing outsourcing in a big way, MSMEs are going to get the orders. We have displayed the list of the items which we need to indigenize, which we are importing, on the website of each DPSU. In fact, we are encouraging the MSMEs to pick up those items, what they want to make. And there is a benchmark price available in terms of last purchase price. So in case they give their willingness, in case they show their intent that they can make this in this time frame and all, we can stop importing and straight away start purchasing from that particular MSMEs. Similarly, in the make procedure also, we have made a provision that They can pick up the items. In fact, we'll be inviting suggestions from the industry also in the next month's seminar, that what items you want to take up, and there will be interaction with the forces. If forces require those items, like as chairman has pointed out, that industry has got a lot of ideas, they want to come up, but there is no taker. So we will try to also, if there is a product for which there can be a demand, we can have interaction and we can take up those items also and make those items, and we will immediately under the make procedure, we will back them by procurement orders. It is not only we will stop at the prototype stage itself, we will give the visibility of orders in the beginning itself.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would address, sir, which was the website you said where it is posted, these things?
DPSU's and OFD website.
No,
is posted in all
okay,
this.
thank you so much.
And we have linked it to the Make in India portal for the defense production, where everything is available. There is a Make in India portal only for the defense production.
Oh, wow.
And we have linked all these things there.
Okay. So just to clarify, there are a lot of companies here that supply complete equipment also in SMEs, like, you know, the software radios, night vision equipment. They can be integrated also, but they are equipment by themselves. So General Thodge, so, you know, sir, given this feeling that, you know, how do we accelerate and reward the Indian companies, what is your take on that too? Because you really control a huge budget here.
I just make a few comments and then some of the questions which came up earlier. One of the first things I want to tell is that the army budget per se may look very huge, but it's almost about 80+% which goes to the DPSUs and the Ordnance Factory Board. And the Ordnance Factory Boards have their own ecosystems. But if I look at sustenance, the costs go 5 times the equipment once it is done. There are a few major steps we have taken. One is, we were looking at the DPSUs to sustain this or the Ordnance Factory to sustain this. But our Ordnance Factories and DPSUs have been faltering on a very major issue of handling the army equipment. In that, their thrust was more towards the process of manufacturing than understanding the equipment and thereafter developing or getting partners to enhance it further. So if he say started manufacturing an ammunition, for 40 years he'll produce the same. After some time, surprisingly, he may not even know the technical law of it, but he was only looking at the process. And that is where I think the R&D got killed to a great extent. When we look at it and we look at the import component, if I ask for an item, I am supposed to be going back to these people, and their simplest process was to import it and give it to me by their markup price or sometimes whatever price they desire. When we started our indigenization, I must tell you, in the last 1 year, we have loaded almost 700 to 800 RFPs for indigenization of various articles. I have a full-fledged department of indigenization working directly under me. And I have got the contact numbers of these people, which I'll be leaving here. The site is there, of the Indian Army site, where you go into the DGME and get into the Department of Indigenization, you get the complete details. The issue which is there, which you're talking about fast tracking, when an item is established, fast tracking is no problem. And whatever is in our past, as Admiral Murugesan brought out, we try and stick to the thing of 6 months. But when it goes beyond our past, and those are certain critical items which go beyond our past, that is where the problem comes about. Now, as far as other delays and other things are concerned, we have now started with the process of pre-bid meeting. So you have a clarification, please clarify. And thereafter you come. But then the experience which I have with the MSMEs has been that they know the procedure, they know how to scuttle, they know how to delay. So he will raise a query after having sent something, then he will say, okay, I'll deposit the bank guarantee, give me another 1 week, give me something more, or he will not submit the capacity verification documents. So the delay, if I calculate at an average, about 40% of the things is blamed on the industry. That I must very categorically state, because they have been exploiting the thing and we have been benign because we want the articles. It is only now we have said, if specified date, specified document not received, you are disqualified. So then the fallout is immediately the letters will start going everywhere because he is promoting only so and so, so I have been discarded. So we have our own hassles when we look at it. And especially because I buy from at higher order to the lowest order, from shoes to everything. And the numbers, by sheer numbers, if I tell you I am buying down the boots, it is 13 lakh pairs of boots in one go. Now, if I do not get the correct technology even in that boot, the army boots which the Jawan is going to wear in the borders, everybody is going to say, NGOs brought me this trash. So I have to have the capacity verification, I have to check the technology even of the smallest, it may look a low technology article. So there are issues within issues. Your concern, you must fast track, is understood. Please support us to make it fast track. If you have to submit documents, please submit by the time. If there is a pre-bid meeting, please be there. Please do not raise queries which are actually, you know the answer and it's just for delay. So as I said, 40% are getting delayed by the industry. 20 to 30% cases get delayed by various procedural things. We are managing only about 30 to 40% of the things getting in time. Especially in the DPM timing of 6 months, we are able to place the indents. That's my assurance. If you play up, that will go up to 70%. So please be responsive on that. And the other thing, we are looking at platform-based indigenizations today. Every article is being taken on the platform-based, and thereafter the indigenization of the parts which are under import are being loaded well in time, and there are processes of hand-holding, your ability for testing of those things. We are supporting on the testing, hand-holding, financially. We have said we will give you the designs free, you require the samples, we will give you the samples free. We have pointsmen who will deal with each of your concerns, and in any case, we have kept the things very transparent. Everything is on e-procurement. Everything in the branch is e-procurement. So there is nothing, nobody can actually manipulate the system today. And that's why we now started putting the dates of the documents. So there is a way we can go together and make it much better. That's my take on it. Thank you.